Hello. In this video, I wanted to continue the series of videos I've been doing over the last few weeks around preparing yourself for a presentation. Now, hopefully by this point in your preparation, you've got lots of lovely, great, strong, interesting, exciting, relevant content. If you're still struggling and still looking at a blank piece of paper, maybe go back to the last video and you'll hear my tips on different ways to actually start generating some ideas for what you want to say. But once you've got all this content, you often need to get rid of a certain amount of it. And that's because the next stage of preparation is all about the art of the edit. Now, so often when I hear people saying they're going to be speaking somewhere, maybe they're just standing up in a meeting, maybe they're speaking at a conference, and they say, oh, I'm only going to speak for 5 minutes or so. And 20 minutes later, they're still going strong and they've barely got past their introduction. And that's because most people massively underestimate the time that it will take to deliver a set amount of content. In fact, one good way of giving yourself a vague notion of how long this might take to deliver is to bear in mind that natural speech averages out about 3 words per second. So if you are writing out a script, which you're not going to read on stage, clearly, and we'll talk about that in a future video, but if you are writing out a script, you can actually do a word count divided by 3, and that will give you a number of seconds it will take to deliver. It's quite a useful trick. But I think what is more important is ensuring that the content you have developed is as succinct and tight and relevant as possible. Every single thing that you put into your presentation, every slide, every story, every piece of data, every anecdote, every statistic, graph, whatever it is you're using, every single one has to earn its place. Why is it in there? What point is it making? How will it aid you in getting your key message across and your audience in understanding and developing and acting upon that key message? And sometimes it does mean taking some quite hard decisions. You may well have some favorite stories. Maybe you've got an anecdote that you know always makes people laugh. Is it absolutely relevant to this topic? Now, I know I'm as guilty as many of sometimes wanting to wedge in some of my really favorite stories. I've got 2 or 3 stories that I tell from the stage that I know will get laughs and I know will make people think, and I know do on the whole help to get across my main points. But in some speeches I give, they're not really relevant. And I'm aware I have once or twice tried to wedge them in just because I want to get those laughs or I want a moment of sort of lighter tone or whatever. But there are times when you have to think, no, that story isn't relevant. Or this particular piece of data really isn't relevant because we don't need to have seen this bit of data to understand my main point. If there is something that is superfluous to people understanding the point you want to put across, get shot of it. And it can be really tough. You'll sometimes hear people referring to killing your babies, which is a slightly grim term, but I get what it means. It is this idea that sometimes you do have to make really tough decisions and strike something off the list of content. Now, editing is going to happen 2 or 3 different times, I think, during the preparation process. This is the first edit. Before you've even started structuring your presentation, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in the next video. But then once you have started to build slides, and then certainly when you get into the rehearsal process, editing will continue, and we'll cover that in later videos as well. But when you are sitting there looking at a piece of paper, whether it's a physical piece of paper or you're looking at your screen, and you've got all this list of content, the things you want to say, the stories you're going to use, the evidence you're going to use, just start thinking, does each point on this list earn its place in my presentation? Does it actually serve a purpose, or is it padding? Is it actually just filling time? Because you don't want to just pad and fill time. Your audience won't thank you for it. They will spot it very quickly. So you do need to be ruthless, take a pencil to it, cross them out. You can always add them back in later if you really find that actually, yes, they are pertinent, and yes, you do have time for it. But at the moment, make every single thing that you want to put into your presentation earn its place in that presentation. So I hope that's useful, just something to think about. It does take a bit of practice. You'll get better at it the more you do it. It does feel quite hard, quite tough at the beginning. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about structuring your presentation, because that's really the next stage of preparing it ready to go in front of an audience. So if you have arrived at this video via YouTube, in the link down below, you will find a link to my newsletter, and you can subscribe there. If you've come to this video via my newsletter, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel using the button down there while you're here, and then you'll get to see all my video content as it goes up. So thank you for listening, and I will see you for the next video.